So I made this work in 2011. It's called Madame Contemporary 2011. And the title is significant in that Madame Homes is a builder, some of you may know, predominantly building in Southern Ontario. And I became interested in the way that they were building houses and also the material options that they provided for the consumers of their homes. And so in Oakville, they have their design center, and I went there kind of looking through the materials as a homeowner would. So they have a bunch of samples on the walls that you can interact with. You can take out a piece of countertop with a piece of tile and put it on the table and kind of experience your home at first through sampling. And so I did that, and oh, I should also say that they also coordinate their color schemes into traditional, contemporary, or eclectic. And so that's where the Madame Contemporary comes from. So these materials are all, well, the countertop and the tiles. Other works I've made have carpet and laminate flooring as well that they provide, are part of their contemporary color scheme. So I became really interested in this design center experience and wanted to provide that kind of sampling of materials here in the sculpture. The forms, I've really, from as far as I can remember, been interested in shapes and patterning, and in grad school especially, it kind of evolved into these sculptural forms. I was looking at Chinese lattice designs. I had been weaving previous to grad school, and also looking at modular architecture and modular furniture. And something that was really significant, a really significant experience for me, was going to the Dia Beacon, and they have the Donald Judds there that are the 15 variations of a box. And if some of you have seen that, then, well, I'll explain it briefly. It's 15 boxes made out of Douglas fir that are all the same dimension and oriented in a grid. And so all of the outsides are treated identically, but each of the top surfaces are individual in the series. So some slant, some hover above, some are down into the volume. And looking at a lot of modernist sculpture, a lot of Judd's work and his contemporaries, I became really interested by the variation and the individualization of the forms that he provided there, which kind of steps outside of the serial way in which he was working, that everything repeated one thing after another kind of identically. So that was extremely inspiring for me, and I took that back to my work. So working within a system that is identifiable and modular and the pattern repeats, but within that providing variation and a kind of individualization of the form, to explore, especially with these ones, really to explore the shape itself and the kind of exterior surface, but then how you can go inside and create these other kind of geometries within the shape. And also for sculptural concerns in really wanting the viewer to walk around the work and experience it in the round, so that if you look at it just from one direction, you will not have experienced the work in its totality. So also another significant architect that I looked at is Moshe Safdie, who built Habitat 67 in Montreal. And he had a show on at the National Gallery that was of his models, and I went to see that. And there was one model in particular, Habitat Puerto Rico. I think it was from the 70s as well. The Donald Judd was from 76. I think this one, sorry, I don't remember the exact date. But in that model, he used an elongated hexagonal volume, and stacked it in a way that was really formally engaging and working just with that one simple shape, carved out spaces, and really took your eye through and around and up and down the model. And also just using that one shape as a modular structure in hopes to become something functional. So these are the things that I was thinking about that were kind of at the forefront of my mind in making this work. And so I do want this to function in a way that is one-on-one with the viewer, so that it becomes somewhat, or the idea that it could become somewhat functional like furniture, but also maybe that it could become a kind of architecture. So it might be a model for something. And so this was 2011, and now these two sculptures are my most current. I just finished them this winter for the show. And so from that work to this work, there are kind of two things that I kind of wanted to tackle, and they're more technical, like pushing myself technically. In this work, things were on a 90 degree or 45, and but with these shapes, nothing is 90 or 45. They're all kind of odd angles. So having to deal with that geometry is something I wanted to challenge myself with. Also, having things cantilever is the other thing that I wanted to challenge myself with. Previous to this, I had just been relying on gravity to stack on top of, for the shapes to stack on top of themselves. But here there's a bolting system inside that allows the pieces to cantilever away from the kind of core of the sculpture. And so then that also, I needed to think through having access into the shape to get them to bolt together. So the thumb screws on the outside are for functional reasons, so that I can actually take off the hexagon and I can access the bolts on the inside. So here I left Madame Homes behind, and I wanted to introduce color. And so I do like, or well, I'll just say like, the kind of connection to something in the consumer world, and something that we might look to inform our decisions about what we might want in our homes, or just certain design aspects. So the colors here are from Pantone's Spring 2014 color forecast. They put out, for every season, they put out a color forecast. And so I took 5 colors from that and color matched them and got them sprayed by a furniture sprayer, so that the work would still have this connection to the interior, or kind of interior spaces as well. And again, making choices about design. A lot of the concerns are still the same with how I would want them to interact with our bodies, and that there can be a functional aspect imagined from them, but also that they can be a model for a much larger architecture. And then again, this individualization of each of the units. Thank you.